freeze. Freeze, ice, freeze. Icy, winter, violent, frozen. Icy, freeze, winter, ice. Icy, freeze, winter, winter. Freeze, cold, frosty.
Swazdilong, peasants. How the hell are ya? Let's talk about Warframe's best air conditioner, Frost Boy. Luckily for you, this Warframe is so easy to understand and master, that anyone can be a godly refrigerator. Even a player with zero skills, like this pristine specimen of human garbage. Let's jump right into cold water and get this show on the road. Frosty is one of the original all-rounders of the game and can take damage pretty well and retaliate with ice-cold vengeance. Yes, this video will have a lot of bad cold puns. Suck my depolarity. If attacked by melee, Frost has a 10% chance to freeze them over for a few seconds. Since this discount Vanilla Ice deals most of his damage as cold damage, Frost is a serious threat to Corpus units, since those are extremely vulnerable against cold damages. However, this does not mean that Frost cannot completely destroy Grineer as well. But I will get to that later. That being said, let's have a look at his first ability.
Freeze, freeze, freeze.
Will launch a projectile that will deal 2 instances of damage. One, when it hits a target, and the second as an AoE to the surrounding area. In addition, whatever you hit with this supercharged snowflake, will instantly freeze over for up to 15 seconds. Should you miss an enemy with the snowflake, and it hit the surface instead, it will spawn a chilled patch of ice that will last for 12 seconds. Should an enemy walk over this patch, they will suffer cold proc which will slow them down by 75%. I highly recommend to neglect this ability for pure damage since it simply is not worth it. And, let's be honest here, your stormtrooper ass probably won't hit a goddamn thing with it to begin with. So I would suggest aiming at enemies' feet. Especially the heavy targets that can give you, or your team, a hard time. If you hit them in the leg, great. If you miss them, no problem. The angle of you aiming at their legs will likely cause a frozen carpet to spawn right there where they stand, which will slow them down anyway. Keep in mind, enemies that are slowed down also have far slower attacks and fire rates. Essentially you are reducing incoming damage by 75% or even 100% if you hit the target directly. So do not underestimate this ability's worth. Especially since even bosses can be affected. The only not cool thing about this is that, if a frozen target receives over 50% of their health as damage, they will suddenly thaw out. How this makes sense in physics, I have no idea. But I will be sure to ask Neil deGrasse Tyson next time I see him.
Some cold hard facts.
Moving on. Ice Wave. This ability is very chill to use. You will cast a wave of ice that will extend at a 45 degrees angle over a distance of 20 meters. You can increase this by using range mods of course. Ice Wave can be used as a means of damage reduction as well. It deals reasonable damage, so if you do not kill whatever is in your way, you will at the very least reduce the affected enemy's damage output due to the slowdown. A nice little bonus here is the fact that Ice Wave is very reliable, since it will travel over or even through obstacles. In other words, this ability does not give a shit about anything. If you decide to use the augment Ice Wave impedance, then you basically have a way more effective first ability, rendering the actual first one completely useless. But that is your business, so do whatever the fuck you want. Next up, Snow Globe. Frost freezes water vapor in the air to create a protective snow dome.
Look at this imbecile, doing the rain dance trying to control the temperature.
Oh boy. This ability right here is possibly the most straightforward ability in the entire game, and yet, some of you cold-hearted plebs still manage to piss off your teammates more than a limbo. Let's try to fix that. But first, allow me to tell you about some of the strange mechanics that go into Snow Globe. Number 1, much like Rhino's iron skin, Snow Globe will have a 4-second phase of invulnerability. During this time, the globe will absorb all incoming damage to extrapolate a higher overall health. So casting while under heavy fire is not a bad idea. However, snow globes also stack on top of each other. The way this works is like this: say you have a snow globe with a health pool of 1000, then cast another inside the original one, then the new one will absorb the health of the first and add it to its own, resulting in a new globe with 2000 health instead. You can even maximize this technique by stacking globes every 4 seconds while taking damage. Why? Because incoming damage used to calculate a higher health pool, so allowing maximum absorption for each successive globe will very effectively escalate its maximum health. However, it will cap out at 1 million total health, which you will probably never reach in practice anyway, so don't worry about it. The next important thing about Snow Globe is that it will take Frost's modified armor into account when calculating its health. So to have a very powerful globe, you will want your Frost as tanky as possible. But wait, that's not all. This ice cream boy cannot use Snow Globe just for defense. No, he can also use it offensively as well. You see, when you cast Snow Globe in a group of douchebags, they will become frozen solid and knock back viciously. Now here is the kicker: if the popsicle enemies hit obstacles while flying through the air, they can take up to half of their total health as so-called throu damage. Throu damage is another one of those things no one has ever even heard of about Warframe. Allow me to briefly explain. Throu damage is a type of damage that does not give a shit about resistances and damage reductions like heavy armor, shield, faction type and so on. So the damage is dealt in full without any disturbances. Hence the name, throu damage. This makes Snow Globe a viable option in tight areas to seriously hurt enemies close to you no matter what their levels are. Speaking of offense, you can, and for the love of Lotus, should cast freeze on your globe either when the globe is not needed anymore or when there are a bunch on enemies inside it. Because guess what? It is fine and dandy that enemies can't shoot through your globe and thus can't hurt you, but neither can your fucking squad. So spamming globes all over the goddamn place as if they were on sale can in many cases hinder your team's effectiveness. Furthermore, being inside your globe when you are using ridiculous colors can truly suck ass. You can alleviate some of the eyeball cancer by using a black energy color. That way you will see clear as day and not have an obstructed line of sight. Now there is one more misconception I want to clean up at this point. Fucking bombards and napalms do not penetrate Snow Globe anymore. This used to be a major issue and forced Frost players to make huge globes in order to stay safe. However, that was hotfixed quite a while ago, so there is no need for a gigantic ice dome anymore. Railgun robot chickens are the only units that can still penetrate it regardless of mods. And for the love of God, stop casting globes onto Octavia disco balls. And finally, Avalanche. No need to get cold feet here. Avalanche is a radial ability that deals hefty damage in a 15-meter radius around Frost and freezes all enemy scum caught in the area of effect. Enemies that are killed by this cast will shatter into ice crystals and damage nearby targets. This ability is super devastating in combination with the Nova Molecular Primus. Her killed enemies will do exactly the same and thus escalate the dual damage to crazy levels. On top of that, Avalanche will reduce enemies' armor by 40% without modifications. This is by far Frost's best attribute since armor is the most annoying damage resistance in the game. You can modify this ability to strip even more armor. I have a video on this broken ass insanity ready for you. Go check that shit out if you give a shit. Furthermore, you are able to extend the duration of the armor strip by casting your first ability on stripped enemies, thus giving you more time to kill them. This will be especially useful on a particular target that you deem to be the greatest threat of a group. So you will need to be a little selective when playing Frost. Now then kids, this is all you need to know about Frost abilities, so let's move on to the builds. That's right, I said builds, as in multiple, because I kinda like you fuckers. But don't let it go to your head. Okay, so this is my Frost all-rounder build. This what I have come to like over the years, and I don't even like this wannabe Toshiro Hitsugaya. I like to use Icy Avalanche Augment since it will basically give me and my bitch-ass team an extra layer of armor. You can try to squeeze in some more range to be more social if you want to, but this here works fine for me. And this is my defense-specific build. As you can see, this build is designed to cast a very powerful bubble and stay inside it most of the time. All the extra armor will enforce the globe's effectiveness. On top of that, I do not like when motherfuckers creep up on my unsuspecting ass. That gives me the chills. So I slapped on the augment chilling globe to help stop that from happening. So then, this concludes my input on how to not be a shitty Frost. I don't even like this dude, but he is indeed pretty cool and a formidable frame. If you suck as a Frost, that's totally your fault and not Ice Cream Prime's. Let me know what Warframe you would like me to do next and maybe I will consider it. Now like and subscribe to this shitty channel. And fuck off.
When I want to control the temperature, I use Sensibo.